Reason that we have Bart on early today is because it's the Stacked Friday show. 9 o'clock, 9:05 Turner time. It's Bart. 9:30, hopefully we get to catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring. Don't know who won the coin toss, if it's Craig or if it's Parky. We'll find out. 10 o'clock, we can whip around, and we'll go through all the weekend on news in the morning. That includes the moving of a keeper possibly from the Atlanta United chain over to being a Canary, plus all the news of the morning, plus all the stuff, and the idea of a possible transfer of Kylian Mbappe. What a surprise. All right, so Bart is here. He's adjusted his glasses. He's ready to go. We have an announcement. Speaking of which, what about your travel plans? Have you gotten to your travel plans yet? How close?
Travel plans are booked. They're all booked.
Okay.
As of this week, we waited till we were sure what dates we wanted to go in and out of New Zealand around the games. Finally decided which ones we're doing, and allows us to actually do a game in Sydney if we want to do. So I think we might be doing it's Colombia versus South Korea maybe in Sydney before we head over to New Zealand for the U.S. games, and then we'll be back in Sydney for that round of 16 game that the U.S. is hopefully playing in. They should be playing in, and I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yes, and we also have to figure out what the time change is and what the time difference is, so Bart can come on as much as humanly possible in and around.
And if anyone wants to sponsor the segment, Bart's Call from Down Under, if anyone has that.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So, and they see them.
I don't know if Melbourne's better than Sydney, but the U.S. isn't playing in Melbourne, so I'm not going to Melbourne.
No, that's priorities. Priorities.
Sorry.
Yes, we got priorities here when it comes to itineraries. So we'll figure it out. See, now if Bart can do the bridge, if you could do the bridge walk in Sydney, you go up the bridge, you can sit there, take the picture from like 9,000 feet.
Yeah.
With the Opera House behind you.
Yeah.
See, now if you did the show from there, if you did the show segment from on top of the bridge, that'd be pretty sweet.
Okay, well, we'll scout out some locations. Maybe I'll do one from the top of a mountain in New Zealand. Who knows? We might as well, right? I'm excited though, John. I'm excited. This is going to be a very trying World Cup for the U.S. I think probably the hardest that they've had to face since that 2007, where they obviously did not win. One of the few times they haven't. The China tournament was similar to this one, where you had a lot of older veterans and a lot of very young players who are very promising, very talented. But you look up and down the roster for the U.S. women, and there's a lot of fourth World Cup, third World Cup, but also a lot of first World Cup appearance. And that's not a bad thing. I think people are making a lot out of the talent, I guess, if you will. But I think right now we're just in that gap between generations. Remember that the previous generation that is about to phase out, the Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan generation, they made 3 World Cup finals in a row. Three in a row.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and so I think that I'm just trying to temper expectations. Not that I don't think the U.S. can win, or even should win, but if they don't win, you just made 3 World Cup finals in a row. If you don't win it this time or make the final this time, it's not catastrophic. There are plenty of teams who have never even won a World Cup knockout round game. Looking at you, Spain.
Bart lobbing bombs early in the segment. All right, let's go position group by position group. We'll start between the sticks. And it is Aubrey Kingsbury, Casey Murphy, Alyssa Nair. When you look at those 3 keepers, what do you see?
Yeah, I think this was not a surprise necessarily, but a change that we expected to happen. Adie Franch has been a part of the U.S. women's camps for about a year and a half now. She's been a very good goalkeeper throughout her career, just not quite stellar internationally. And this season in NWSL, she's lost her starting spot at Kansas City, hasn't been very good. So not a surprise that Kingsbury, who has been very good for the Washington Spirit, is included. And though Alyssa Nair is probably the number 1, I got to be honest, I think Murphy or Kingsbury could start and we would be just fine. Nair has been the number 1 for Vlatko, but Vlatko's done a good job of incorporating Murphy throughout. So a very solid experience group, even though 2 of these 3 haven't been to a World Cup before, but they're very good, very experienced in NWSL.
7 defenders make the trip. Alana Cook, Crystal Dunn, Emily Fox, Naomi Girma, Sophia Huerta, Kelly O'Hara, And if you haven't seen the video of Vlatko making the call, seeing Kelly O'Hara's reaction was just priceless. And then Emily Sonnet, defender number 7.
Yeah, we get our 2 Georgia girls going to the World Cup here. Emily Sonnet from Marietta and Kelly O'Hara down from Fayetteville. I'm sure her dad is going to cash in those Delta Sky Miles that he's earned over those years of being a pilot. But this is, I think, the group that people are most concerned about. And I think there's valid concerns, but I also think that there's concern over that experience word that we seem to think matters so much. Granted, it's going to be a little interesting because you have Alana Cook and Naomi Girma, who are your absolute starters now at center back. That now that Becky Sauerbrunn is not going to be going, she's out with an injury. She just seems like she won't be ready to go. And let's be real honest. You see Pino, you see O'Hara on here. If Sauerbrunn were able to play soccer, she would be on this roster. She's unfortunately, can't do it. So Cook and Girma, very young. Girma especially very young. She's only in her 2nd year as a professional out of Stanford. Cook a little bit older, but they have been solid for the U.S. I don't know if I could say that Cook has been stellar, whereas Girma really has played very well in her time with the U.S. I think that's where the concerns lie, right? Because you only have those 2 who you would consider starters. You don't really have a third center back. It's Emily Sonnet. Sonnet is kind of a center back, kind of a defensive midfielder, kind of a fullback. I think you might also see a little bit of, and we'll talk about her in the next group, but you might see Julie Ertz fall back in that center back pairing if needed. So you have 4 center backs on the roster. You only really have 2 starters. I think that's the concern. But the fullbacks actually, I think, are going to be okay. You have Fox and Dunn, who are probably your starters. Fox can play left or right, and Dunn is obviously I know we can talk all day long about how she should actually be playing in the midfield, but on that left side of fullback, she's a very solid presence. She's gotten back into her fitness and performance levels in NWSL that we're used to. I expect her to start at left back. I expect Fox to start at right back, but we do have Huerta and O'Hara who should be able to play right back if needed. I think we'll see a lot of them because the 2 of the first 3 games aren't against great opponents, and especially opponents who will be able to attack more. So I would expect Huerta and or O'Hara to play in those 2 group stage matches.
All right, so we'll save your starting 11 till after the full position group breakdown. Let's go to the next group, and it's 7 midfielders. Savannah DeMello gets the nod out of Racing Louisville. Julie Ertz, who last time I checked is an actual cyborg, although we have no physical evidence to actually lay this out and prove this, but I think Julie Ertz is an absolute cyborg. Lindsey Horan, Rose Lavelle, Christy Mewis, Ashley Sanchez, Andy Sullivan. And there's also some sub news about Lindsey Horan as well. But when you look at those 7 midfielders, Savannah DeMello, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, congrats to Savannah DeMello. This is she's definitely the player who you go, oh, she's had a really good season. We've got to bring her. I think part of that is sparked by the fact that we're not quite sure of the fitness and health necessarily of Rose Lavelle. She's been nursing an injury. Her club coach has been at OL Reign has been kind of cagey about her fitness levels and if she's able to play. So I think DeMello is in here because we're not quite sure how much Rose is going to be able to play. I don't know how much we'll see her because Ashley Sanchez is on this roster, and Ashley has been the second midfield option of those 2 advanced midfielders. So we'll see. But congrats to DeMello. She's earned it. And 5 goals, 2 assists on the season. She's lethal from about anywhere. And I think for the U.S., literally, she has created goals from taking the ball off a goalkeeper and also goals from like 45 yards out. So that type of range for that box-to-box midfielder will be good, especially when you have Rose Lavelle, who has been, again, nursing an injury, and Lindsey Horan, who honestly hasn't looked at her best in, I don't know, about 2 years with the U.S. women. She's looked good for Lyon. Obviously, that's a little different because of how they play. But Horan is going to need to be a leader and step up and ball out this tournament if Lavelle's not able to go.
Forwards up top, Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe, Trinity Rodman, Sophia Smith, Alyssa Thompson gets the nod, and Lynn Williams. That's firepower up front.
So this is we might be a little bit of Atlanta United at this tournament, right? Where we're going to give up a lot of goals and concede a lot of
So
goals.
you're saying take the over with the U.S. national team.
Yeah, take the over. Also, I think Vlatko and Gonzalo Pineda are on similar coaching levels, aka not great. But it's going to be the interesting part of this forward group is that Alex Morgan is your only real true number 9, but you have Sophia Smith, who plays up top a lot of times centrally for Portland, who's been very good this season. You also have Trinity Rodman and Lynn Williams, who can play centrally. So I think, yeah, you only have one true striker in Alex Morgan, but I think if you look at it, you have a lot of players who can play that. And let's just be honest, John, all of these strikers, this is what we were talking about when, like, yes, Swanson goes down with an injury, which is absolutely going to affect this team. She is a dynamic player that you just don't replace. But the fact that you called up, okay, so you already had probably Lynn and Trinity coming up with her, which they're also very darn good soccer
Last time I
players.
checked, yeah, they're all right.
And then, so the replacement for now Swanson is 18-year-old Alyssa Thompson, who
Bless you.
who has been lighting it up in NWSL this season for a very bad Angel City team. I want to repeat that. A very bad Angel City team. I know they have a lot of glitz and glamour around their marketing. They are not good. But Alyssa is stunning. She balled out at the 2020 Women's U20 World Cup, which may have been at that point 2022. Sorry, 2022 Women's Youth World Cup. She's been great. And I know she won't play a lot, but she's the player I'm most excited to hopefully see in person. Let's just put it that way. Also excited to see Trinity Rodman in person, for the record. Also very excited for that. But I've seen Trin play in person previously this year. She's insanely fast and talented. But I'm really hoping Alyssa gets in one of the group stage matches I'm going to, because I want to see her play live. Vlatko, put her in against Portugal.
Make this happen. And to your point, I anticipate that in group stage is probably where you're going to see Alyssa Thompson, Savannah DeMello, getting that experience, getting that run out, so they can just kind of get their sea legs when it comes to what it's like in a world competition like this.
Well, and you have 2 group matches, one specifically that, let's be real honest, I'm not trying to diminish Vietnam or their accomplishments for making for the World Cup, but this will be very similar to that Thailand game we had back in 2019. I don't think it'll be double-digit goals, but it should be a very comfortable win, even by halftime. So if you're Vlatko, you have that decision of, do I start my best team, right? Or do I give players like Ertz, Lavelle, do I give them a little Haran even? Do I give them a rest? Do I play Emily Sonnet as a center back in that game to get her used to that in the World Cup? Do I play maybe it's Alyssa Thompson at one of the forward positions, or maybe I play DeMello in one of the midfield positions, just to make sure that they are fully comfortable in that with the team. So we'll see. I don't think you'll see the best 11 for that opening game, because obviously the second game is the Netherlands match, and that one you have to win in this group. That's the one you have to absolutely win. And if you do that, you're looking at a smooth sailing. That Portugal match, who we played a couple years ago, I don't people remember, played them before the Olympics in 2021, played a 0-0 draw because their goalkeeper made, I think, 55 saves in that game. And I don't think that they are as good even as that, but they've been pretty good. So Portugal will be a tough challenge, but I don't think it's a game that the U.S. should be in fear of losing.
Sidebar, by the way, the notification came out this morning from our friend Scott Flood and the Flood Project. Friday, July 21st, 7 o'clock, Wild Heaven West End. And yes, this is a promo. Jason and I are going to be there with SDH Live, food trucks, vendors, VIP experiences available. Check in with Scott Flood and get your VIP ticket opportunities. Let everybody know you're coming. So it'll be, for those of you that were there for USA and England last November, you know how crazy the building can get. So while Bart and how many of your buddies are going down?
Well, I will actually be there for that game, so you can hang out with me one last time before I depart for Down Under. Okay. But we've got 5 of us that I know, like of my friends' going, and then there's even more from the AO Atlanta group that are going, and obviously we'll have several thousand American Outlaws down there. I gotta be honest, John. I'm excited because this World Cup seems to be very well attended.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the U.S. games were like sold out before even I could get tickets to first go around. I know, just rude. But not just the U.S. games, but the Australia games, the New Zealand games. A lot of the other games, like you have some with England, some other teams that are hard to get tickets to. Love to see that, especially for Australia, New Zealand, which are not playing in small stadiums, but are definitely playing in smaller. We're not in Moncton this time around, but we're not at a glorified high school track facility, Canada. Anyway,
Dig.
I'm excited. I mean, the four, New Zealand stadiums, all over 20,000 seats. You've got in Australia, you've got Brisbane is like 55,000. You're playing Sydney Football Ground, which is 40-some thousand. The Melbourne Rectangular is about 25, 30. So very good size stadiums that are going to be full. I think this is a massive step forward for the women's game. And, John, again, I talked about it at the beginning of the show. The U.S. is a favorite.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. should be considered a favorite. But we have to be real honest. There are better teams playing right now. Now, hold on. That does not mean that they have somehow magically caught up to the U.S. because I'm looking at our roster going, every single one of these players would be a starter for just about any other team in the world. I mean this sincerely. I don't think there's a player on this roster who wouldn't be included in another team in the world. But we have to be humble a little bit and accept the fact that a team like Germany might just win the damn thing because they haven't been affected as much by injuries. Let's be real honest. They have Alexandra Pop, who she's been very, very good. They have a fantastic defense, a very good goalkeeper. Germany very well may be the favorites. England obviously losing Leah Williamson and Beth Mead, that hurts.
Yes.
I don't know if they have the depth to replace them. And again, that's the thing is, do they have the depth to replace Leah Williamson, who is their captain and a vital player? I mean, listen, I love Leah Williamson. She might be I think she's my second favorite Arsenal player, period, right now, behind Bukayo Saka, which maybe they're 1A and B.
Yeah.
Beth Mead was fantastic, obviously, in Women's Euros, winning Golden Boot. I don't know if they have the depth to replace that. Whereas, as we mentioned, Mal Swanson was the best player for the U.S. women for a good time. Will, I shaved. I wanted to go with the John Nelson look. I was inspired by all the awards he's been nominated for, so I needed to, kind of channel that energy.
Stop.
But no, I think that if you're looking at the U.S. women, they're still a top 3 or 4 team. Like, I know they're the betting favorite, as they should be. It's very much the Tiger versus the field type of conversation. I'm just saying that it's okay that if this team is definitely in transition, we have to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But if your transition is to Trinity Rodman, Alyssa Thompson, Ashley Sanchez, Savannah DeMello, Naomi Girma, Alana Cook, and then possibly, looking at like Emily Fox, who has been fantastic. And then even the goalkeepers, the backups like Casey Murphy and Audrey Kingsbury. That's a decent transition, I do think that I think that this team should win. I think they have every right to say they will win. I don't know if they will, but again, the rest of the world may be catching up, but the U.S. is still producing the most and best talent.
All right, so BetMGM has the numbers, and here we go when it comes to juice boxes. I'll start. Let's see. Let's start with number 6. Australia's number 6 at plus 1,000.
They're my dark horse. I think the host nation, a country that has struggled when it comes to the knockout rounds of tournaments, but has always produced really good talent. They have a lot of players right now playing at high levels in Europe. I would put money on Australia personally.
Okay, so if you had a juice box in the back of the fridge, you'd put it on Australia at plus.
I would put the fruit punch juice boxes on Australia.
France is number 5 at plus 900.
Hervé Renard coming in, we'll see how he can revitalize that team. They've been an underperforming team for their existence. I don't know if they're going to capture it. That team is a little bit aging, but they're still very, very good. I think fifth makes sense for them.
T3 is Spain and Germany at plus 6.
Don't put money on Spain. Do not put any juice boxes. Don't even put your least favorite. Spain has not once, John, not a single time has Spain won a knockout round of an international tournament. Not Euros, not the World Cup. I understand that people love the Barcelona team, which, by the way, is not made completely of Spanish players. But anyway, the Spanish league is the weakest of the big four leagues, if you will, in Europe, right? I think Women's Super League in England is the best. Liga is probably second best. I think Bundesliga, Frauen Bundesliga is maybe 2B. The women's league in Spain has Barcelona. That's really it. Atletico is coming up, but they're not there. I don't think Spain has. I don't think they have the physical grit to win a World Cup and clearly, again, win a knockout round game. Yes, they're good. They're going to dominate possession. They're going to control. But I'm sorry. I'm not going to believe them until they see it. It's very Jamaica here. Everyone's talking about how Jamaica's going to win this World Cup coming up, or this Gold Cup coming up. And I'm like, they ain't done shit ever. So
there's the explicit rating.
We got it. We're before 9:30. But Germany, I would put. Germany is another one I would put money on for sure.
Obviously, number 2 and number 1, no real surprises. But number 2, according to BetMGM, is England at plus 300, which means the U.S. is plus 225 is your favorite.
Yeah, I think England, especially after the Euros, is going to get a lot of love. I'm concerned about the injuries they've had, but they are still very good. Still very good. I would not bet on the U.S. to win outside of like my obligatory, put some money on the home team type of thing.
Yes.
I bet on the U.S. men to win the World Cup, and I knew that was a wasted, $20-$50. But you got to, right? But yeah, I think you put juice boxes. For me, I would put juice boxes on Australia. I would put them on Germany, and have fun.
Yeah, and make sure that you reserve something for the home team as well, just because you can get them at a plus 225.
Yeah.
Anything on the plus side, especially at a plus 225 at BetMGM, you might want to jump on that now, because as you get closer to the tournament, before the tournament kicks off, those odds may drop. So you have to jump on your juice boxes right now. All right, so what's the latest with SoccerForUS POD, and until we catch back up on Wednesday for another round of referee?
I have a recording that I need to give you.
Okay.
I just keep not being able to edit it. So hopefully we get it out today. Talking about the Nations League victory, and then next week we'll be talking about Greg Berhalter. We wanted to give it its own episode. Talk about it kind of logically. Talk about it not necessarily without emotion, but just from a less reactive standpoint.
Yeah, so you kind of sat back and let everything ruminate for a couple of days before.
Yeah, let the crazies talk their crazy, and then try to look at the thing not objectively necessarily, but just from a even-keeled standpoint.
Yeah, well, and Bart, I hate to break it to you, as it was put out there by Jarrett yesterday when we announced about the Atlanta Press Club, you're a part of this madness, so you get to take as much credit as everybody else when it comes to being a finalist here at SDH. So Will wants to say wants to know if you can laugh about Canada thinking they're better for a minute.
Yeah, so I made a comment on an Instagram post from, I think it was the Gold Cup. Yeah. They posted, it was MLS, sorry. They posted a picture of all the CONCACAF Gold Cup trophy winners. And Canada has one from 2000. And I said, oh, look at Canada with their one little trophy. And the Canadians did not like that.
Oh, you got jumped on by Canadians? I was not aware of this.
Canadians are very rude, John. I thought you knew this. I think the Canadians are, I don't know, is there like lack of oxygen north of the border? I think something's gone to their brains that they think that they're good at soccer.
Wow.
I think the Canadians should worry about, maybe paying their players and funding their programs before they start yelling at us. But
having functional professional leagues. Just saying.
You haven't won a trophy in 23 years. And then someone else came back and was like, no, they have 2. They won one in 86. And I was like, well, 1, it wasn't a Gold Cup back then. And 2, that's not really helping your cause that you have 2 trophies since 1980.
I was going to say that's 37 years ago was 1980.
Yeah. And let's be honest, I only count my lifetime. You only have 1 trophy in my lifetime. So that's all that matters. So.
Okay. I see where you're going.
But we do have Gold Cup coming up. This is a huge opportunity for the U.S. men to cement their place. We talked about this on the pod, and I'm sure you've got 2 very important people coming up.
As long as they're not in the waiting room yet,
I'll keep talking. We can talk about this. We talked about this on the recent episode, just kind of forecasting. I don't think the U.S. necessarily has to win this Gold Cup to keep their claim as like best in CONCACAF, because obviously this team that we're sending is not a first choice selection at really outside of like 3 positions, maybe 2 if you really want to get like Miles at center back is a first choice center back, and then Matt Turner in goal will be a first choice goalkeeper. I don't know if you could say there's a first choice player anywhere else on this field.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously this team is not as exciting maybe as we would like. Certainly there are some players on this roster who diminish the excitement that you could have for some of the younger players or newer players on there. Aaron Long continues to get called up, even though Aaron Long has been, quite frankly, not good for LAFC. Christian Roldan continues to get called up because, I don't know, he exists. I'm not quite sure where that comes into play, but you do have exciting players out here. Obviously, we got Brandon Vasquez and Julian Gressel. So if you're an Atlanta United fan, that's fun.
Never heard of him.
Again, Rich, this is my thing is like we won Nations League, which was the best competition, right? Canada, Mexico, US, we're not sending our best players to the Gold Cup. Jamaica didn't qualify for the Nations League finals. So miss me with any thing of telling me that they're good. They also, again, don't trust them. They usually show up well.
I'm just going to put my feet up here for a couple of minutes.
I don't trust Jamaica. I just don't. I'm sorry. Look, yes, I think we have to win in the sense that like we should, right? We're the U.S. We want to prove we're the most dominant team in this region. I still think this roster is very good and should be able to make a final. I just don't think that. I'm not quite sure where you can expect that this team is somehow going to win a trophy. It was a surprise in 2021. Thanks, Miles, for heading home that goal. But I think if you make the final, you can still make a solid claim that you're the best team in CONCACAF because you win the big trophy, you make the final with your second choice team. Seems pretty good.
See, there you go. So this is what we'll talk about. Obviously, the first match is at the spaceship. Okay, now this is another thing that folks have kind of gotten.
The spaceship.
That's what it looks like. That's what Soldier Field.
It does. Hey, listen, that view in Soldier Field going out toward the city is beautiful. It's one of the best in MLS.
And you can pick your seat.
I remember going there when people actually cared about the fire. So.
Yes, and when it was not looking like a spaceship and actually looked like a
no, I don't remember that.
To those,
I don't remember that. My first Chicago Fire game, I think, was in 2004. The U.S. played a friendly with Poland, and they paired it with a doubleheader, Chicago versus New England. Got to see our favorite person ever, Carlos Bocanegra. He played in both. Saw DeMarcus Beasley play in both. I think Boca scored in the game against New England, if I remember correctly. That was a crazy experience. Playing Poland in Chicago, that was a trip, man.
The other thing is that the kickoff is being promoted at 9:30 Eastern time. It is not, in fact, at 9:30 Eastern time. I think it's a 10:06 kick for this Gold Cup match that starts things off for the USWNT. Bart's gone into his filing cabinet.
Sorry, yeah, I'm looking for something.
So Bart's gone into his filing cabinet. He's chasing after his notes. Oh, what did you find?
you mentioned kickoff, so
Attaboy, our friends at Kickoff Coffee right there. Stars and Stripes Kickoff Coffee. Attaboy.
there you go.
But yeah, another
Drink
thing.
coffee, do good.
Yes, everybody's getting bent out of shape, rightfully so, about the 10:06 kickoff that was listed at 9:30. But I think, trying to think of it like a TV programmer, is that you want to get your 7:39 MLS kicks out the door, and you want to have that clean because that's more than half of your schedule on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, the other solution is you don't play during the international break, but hey.
Logic. Why do you want to do that? All right, Bart, get out of here. You.
All right.
So let's see. Anticipating a Soccer for US POD coming up over the weekend.
If not today.
If not today. So we'll figure it out. So keep an eye out. Set your notifications here at the network. Another new episode of Soccer for US POD with Bart at US Keeper and the cast of thousands that's a part of his show on a daily basis. And we will get Bart's ideas on early Gold Cup stuff on Wednesday when he returns under normal circumstances with tournaments down here and all that kind of stuff. Bart, thanks for hanging out with us once again. Thanks for coming on an atypical day for you.
I know. Thanks for having me, John.
Well, I mean, we needed to talk about it, and we found it was kind of important. You know, the U.S. women's national team makes their announcement of their players and stuff. So enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll catch up with you next week, my friend.
Cheers, y'all.